Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we have in a 2021 Ford Ranger Wildtrak, and I'm going to show you how to change the headlights and take the whole front end off. So let's get into it. So to remove this front bumper, we have to take off the grille, the bumper, and then we can get access to the headlights because there's some mounting points just underneath. So to start off with, you take off this top panel here, which this one's already been removed, but it's just a couple of push clips and 230 Torxes holding this plastic air intake. And then you have two 10mm bolts holding the top of the grille, and the rest of the grille's on clips. So what you need to do is get your hand behind to find the fittings, and you just squeeze it so it will pop out. Once it pops out, this one's got LEDs wired into it, so we're just going to rest this up on the top here just so it's out of the way and doesn't get damaged. Now the next thing that we want to do is remove these plastic surrounds. So there's an 8mm bolt, one in here and one in here. So I've just got an 8mm on a quarter drive. Once you take the 8mm bolt out, this will be loose enough so you can get behind it to undo the bumper supports and the bolt for the headlight. Do the same on both sides. And put the bolts somewhere safe so they're out of the way. So now we've got these two little bits loose here. We need to then start to take the bumper off. So if we start from one side, we need to take the inner wheel arch liner out, which is 3 push fit clips, a 30 Torx, and then you have an 8mm bolt that goes up into the wing. So we undo our 30 Torx bolt, and then we're going to take out our 3 push fit clips. Once you've got them out, you'll be able to pull the inner wheel arch liner back, and then take your 8mm, and right up in this very corner there's an 8mm that holds the bumper to the wing. So we just take that out and set that aside. So that's this corner undone. Next thing you want to do is just go underneath the bumper, and there is 4 10mm bolts that are supporting the lower half of the bumper. You don't need to undo the 8mm bolts under here because they are just holding this plastic lip on, but the 10mm you do. Now those 4 10mm bolts are out from underneath, we can go and do exactly the same on the other side, inner wheel arch. So you take your 3 push fit plastic clips out, and then your 30 Torx bolt. Once they're out, pull the inner liner to the side. We just undo that 8mm that holds the corner of the bumper on. Now, there's a couple more plastic clips. So just under where you undone these plastic trims, there's another push fit clip in the bumper there, and another one this side. So we're just going to take them out, add them to your little piles of nuts and bolts either side. Then your next step is you're going to want your 10mm on a longer extension, and you want to go down just behind the headlight, take out these 2 10mm bolts holding the top of the bumper on here and here. And set them aside. Now all the fixings for the bumper are now off, or undone, sorry. So what you want to do is put your hand behind the front bumper and just pull it towards you quite sharply. And it might sound quite daunting, but all it is doing is just pulling the clips off each side. So once we do that each side, just like that. Now both sides are loose and you have just 2 more push fit bolts holding the front on. Take these off last so the bumper doesn't fall off when you're pinging the last side out. Now them 2 are completely loose, the bumper will just slide out. And when you take the bumper off, you're going to have your fog light connections, one either side. And you're going to have a big plug for your parking sensors. Once you've undone that, this one has wires connected for the LED fog lights. So what I'm going to do is not take it too far away. I'm just going to place it there so we don't have to disconnect that cable. So now the front bumper is completely off, we can now get access to all the bolts for the headlamp. So firstly, we are going to need a 30 Torx on a long extension, and we're just going to go where the last bumper bolt was held in here. Just behind that is a 30 Torx for the lower part of the headlight. So take that 30 Torx out, set it to one side, and then we're going to swap back over to our 10mm socket. You'll have 2 10mm bolts up here and a push fit clip right in the top corner. And then lastly, you've got 1 10mm bolt in the side. And with all them off, we should be able to just pop our headlight out. The reason we undo this plastic here is so we can bend it just out the way to get the bottom of the headlight to come out. Once the headlight is out just enough to get hold of the connectors, some of the connectors might be a bit tight. If they are a bit tight, you can just get yourself a little pick or a screwdriver, and then you'll be able to take them off that way. Once you've got your wiring undone, you can then remove the headlight away from the vehicle, and we'll get our other one to put back in. So once you have your other headlight, we're going to go in much the same way as we came out. Just going to pull this plastic back. Once you're close enough to get your plugs to plug in, when you're pushing them in, listen for a little click. That means that they've gone on and the little tab has gone in to secure it properly. Once you've got all of your plugs in, you can carefully put it back into position, making sure that your bolt holes all line up. And in this wing part, there is a plastic dowel that goes through the side here, so just make sure that's in before you start doing it up, otherwise you'll break it off. So then we can get our 10mm bolts back in, not forgetting our little 30 Torx at the back here. Now we've done up those and the headlight is plugged in, at this point you can test them. You can turn it on and test them, make sure they are working, which we're going to do now. So a simple way is you can just press the lock and unlock button, and then you'll see if the headlights have power, and they do. So that's this side complete. So we want to do the exact same thing on the other side. So now as we pull this one out, undo all of our plugs for the lights. Now that's headlight number 2 removed. So we have our headlight. So again, once you push the headlight in, make sure you get the little plastic tab on the side here to line up so it locates, and then everything will line up perfectly. I'm just being a little bit more delicate this side because I've got the wiring for the extra LEDs in there. So once you've got your 3 10mm and your 30 Torx in, we can try and test it. So if we grab the key, and you can see all has power, is all working. So that is a good job on that one. So now we can put our bumper back into position. So let me show you how to do that. So I'm going to start off by plugging our parking sensors plug and our fog lamp in. We can do that both sides. If you can get somebody else to help you at this point, it may be handy. So first thing you want to do is line up these plastic tabs on here first, so they slot in nicely. And once they're slotted in, we're going to put in these 2 on the front of the bumper here. Just put your hand in to locate it behind. That way our bumper can't fall off and is nice and secure. Then what we want to do is you want to line up the rest of the bumper underneath the headlight. Once it's lined up, you can give it a tap, and that should just pop over the little plastic tabs that are in there. So we just get the bumper, we line it up the best we can, making sure this first tab goes into position, and as you can see, falls in nicely. Give it a little tap and that'll line up perfectly. Now we've got the bumper back on in position, we can then start to put all of our side pieces and the underneath piece in. Not forgetting your 2 10mm that go in the front of the bumper here. So let's start off with those. So our 2 bumper bolts, the 10mm are these long ones. Pop them down into the hole and then take your 10mm on a long ratchet. Then just in front of those 10mm, you have your 2 plastic push fits. One there. And one there. Just got my extra 10mm for the headlights to go in here. Now what we can do is get our long 8mm bolts and we can tighten up these plastic trims. Okay, so that's our plastic trims on. So now what we can do is get our 4 10mm bolts that go underneath. When you're putting these 10mm bolts in, you may have to get your hand just behind it on the supporting bracket and just move the bracket around until you can find the hole it needs to go in. Once you do, just do them up. So now we can go to the other side and put the next 2 10mm bolts in. Like I say, just get hold of your support underneath and wiggle it around until the bolt lines up with the hole. Much easier if you have a torch. Okay, so that's that stage done. So now we've got all of them bolts in on the bottom. We can go to each side of the vehicle now. And we're going to start off by pulling our liner back. So we can pop in our 8mm screw up here. And just make sure that your bumper lines up with your wing. And that's done up. Then we can put our 30 Torx bolt in the top. And finally our 3 plastic clips in the side. So that's one side done. So now we're just going to do the same on the other side. Okay, so that's our front bumper on and secure both sides and underneath. So now what we can do is put our grille back on. So we just want to line it up with the bottom here. And what you need to do is line up all of the fins at the bottom that locate into the plastic. Once you do that, sharp press into place, and then make sure the top of the grille is located correctly on the top of the headlight. Just going to tuck our wiring away here. Then we can take our top panel and we're just going to push this air duct back, slide the black plastic panel underneath it. Now you have tabs that line up with the top of the grille. Just make sure they all line up. Clip it in place. Then take your 230 Torx bolts, pop them back into the air duct here. Then you've got a load of these push fit clips, which are nice and easy to put in. So now we just get our 30 Torx screwdriver. Just going to wind these all the way in. We can see all of our LED lights are working perfectly. Let's just pop our headlights on just to make sure everything is working. And there you have it. So there's a video on how to replace your headlamps on a Ford Ranger 2021 Wildtrak. Also how to replace the bumper, or just basically take off the whole front end to have access to everything. If you like the video, hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next one.